That is continuation of rejections. There are three persons that I went out in Malibu. Uh, Two were one for coffee. His name was Andrew. One was we went to eat, and once he paid, and then once I paid for him, and his name was Casey. And the second one, the name was of it was a Mexican American man on a motorcycle. I forgot his name, which is because women protect him so that he is forever single and lives in a park until someone, in name of family values, humiliates him and as compassion marries him to never to those than for money sex, which is this Mexican American model, or cholo. That is not an idiot. That person also, I am not interested in him. I went out with him once. That is a person who on purpose provokes attention with misdemeanor, for instance, and his friends are persons that I would be ashamed of showing in public because of how little respect he shows for himself and for others. And so that is what I don't like. I don't like a person who parades around with bottle of alcohol when it says no alcohol on the bus, and has that as some sort of an achievement. It is to do against greatest danger, face DMV to impede corruption in that office. Courage is to have a person who is by community sought to defend herself and say stand up for own community and not to be accused of sexual interests, so that that person is free. That's courage. Courage is also, I don't know, a person that sees another person mugging, and actually goes and not harming, says in a polite way, could you please stop mugging that lady? That's courage. And instead of humiliating and then having others compensate, to show that the police, after all, as a group, is capable to respond in a theft. That is not good enough. So that is again, from now on forward, I did not have sex with any of the three of these persons, nor have I dreamt about them. The reason behind it is that none of them or I were interested in pursuing relationships because of no interest in one another. Those are persons who, for me, for instance, are boring. That is boring for all of the activities, and that I don't like to entertain a person who sits and is boring. That is obvious. Those are persons who also are well, much less educated, and that in hatred persons lower me to be able to pursue the status of work to gain an income at my expense, and to do the same with these persons who, for instance, Andrew is a vegan, who is a cook, who at best and does jewelry, and who at best he can do it for free and outside, because he also is a good looking person. And so that is why most men who are fat and who are unsuccessful or married envy him and prevent him from having even own place. And I don't want him with place, without place, with or without any females, and nor I wanted the Mexican American or the Casey. I went there and we specified that way because I was interested in having some friends. So that was a success that we managed to do so, and I wish not to have that spoiled anywhere. Though I do not find them that amusing, I still think that they are nice persons. That's all. And I'm sure that this is well meant and intentioned to say that I don't want to provide them an excuse to have them not married, to have them not having any income, or to have them waiting for me to provide them anything, or married so that they are paid for so-called maybe one day baby. I don't want any babies because I'm not married. When I'm married, maybe I will want a baby. With a person needs to be so much loved and love so much that the babies want. Otherwise, I don't want any children. That is so. Those three men from now on forward, Andrew, Casey, and those. And I never wanted them. I never dreamt about them. There was nothing in person that happened that was sexual or intimate, and I never, from now on forward, will want them or in any way want them to pursue me. And I don't want them to impede my marriage, housing, and or being single, or having any other insinuations based on whoever I went out with, that I am aspiring to have somebody stalk me. So basically, it is safe to assume if person, for instance, has lower than a higher education, I am less interested. If person has, for instance, 20 to 30 kilograms and is visibly sick, I am not I'm not interested. If person is disabled in a wheelchair and I would need to provide for that person, I am also, it's safe to assume, not interested in doing so. Of course, there are miracles in the world in which I may, instead of being a physician, actually be a person who is, for life. If a person wishes to espouse, but that is actually not something that I wish for, per se, because that's not the purpose of the education. Nor I am caregiver or a cleaning lady with medical degree. That is especially after that the government leadership, education and neurodevelopmental disorders, that includes consulting, strategic consulting to help in field, and add also medical background, which is above the other ones. It is 7, or for me it was about 11 years all combined of self-study that is actually useful for others, and it kills to non-stop push on me, excuse me, men or women, or whenever a person is interested in hiring me, have persons instead provide me for painting some dot, and in fact they need to have a field review because allergy pushes pills as if they were ducks, and that's all they do, or pokes persons, and that changes nothing. The next one, so those three are for sure rejected. And all of those persons from job exchange that I met, I am including the person who was declaring himself insane. That person also I do not want to install some sweater, that I don't also want to be around me, because if somebody goes around saying such thing, that person wants to be treated as eternal child for work and for relationship, and that is just legally false and constructed in such way so that that person never marries and never works, because the person is talented. So the person I worked in the library, that's the person that I also do not wish from now on forward to have any work or any children or anything to do with, until he strips himself of being anything crazy and or drugged, because those are drugs of abuse forced for any income, to impede persons who are harder working or more talented or better looking from actually doing that work, so that the whole place collects for death of some. That's all. That is how the model is of that wonderful system worldwide, basically. And so that person also from now on forward, I am in no way interested in having anything to do with, unless of course it is based on friendship, or and some sort of a work relationship in which that person is accountable. Also, it would need a change of the system. So California is not the place, because that person, if that person, for instance, would have children, or try to provide some sort of work, that person would lie in court, and an ignorant judge would actually skip that person and say, oh, that person didn't marry you because in fact that person was is declaring in court being insane, which does not exist, is again a construct to rip people off in the United States, working especially, and in some places also other. UK is very famous for it, as well as Poland in some places that have such model to go work as much as possible, build a house and divorce. That's the American novelty. That is, or prevent for someone who is asexual to abuse at home and prevent divorce. That is also a fantastic model. That is not uncommon in the United States. Many from Armenia or others do so. That's it. And that is also freedom to be abused, and I do not have to do the work of the police officers. And also, please do not go and rape a wife of persons, because that is how you are trained. Don't do that, okay? So that is to add, the persons that broke into my place because my spouse wanted to rob not only his inheritance, but also possibly whatever it is that my brother gave us in money and furniture, because he didn't buy maybe one bed for himself and a chair. And once he managed, when I had an income, he managed to put something on my name, also that was mine, because otherwise he decided that all he will steal, and then divorce and escape, avoiding sex. And so that is a gigolo. And I was married too, and the gigolo went to Switzerland with an American passport. And so that also because he's American, I'm sorry, that is also because I'm in the United States, romantic dating. I do not wish any from now on forward, and it will never change, I swear to God, anything to do, any personal romantic relationships with my ex-spouse Arnaud Chevalier or any member of his family with that last name. I don't want them, and I find them morally despicable, basically. And the same is for, of course, always all women, because I'm a straight woman. I'm straight woman, like everybody else. Just this question of maturity and experience, or choosing less. Like some lesbian couple from California said, choosing less desired to be able to settle because men are that bad, that lame. Well, I know that is a problem. It is not. It's not the first, you know, a couple that says so. That. Saying I from now on forever do not wish to have any sex with any person of same gender or any sort of other things that are animals and or anything children also, that is for sure. And I don't want that insinuated even in jokes, which was the favorite occupation and still is of my ex, his family, and or whoever it is that wants to have a lefties and work instead of me, or somebody else's relationship. And what it is true or not in the past is now beside the point. What is important is for the future, what it is that I can vouch because of the past and how I know how things are constructed mind-wise. And also, again, I am not an alcoholic, and whoever is around claiming that they are at periods of time not accountable, I don't want that person mentally. I don't want to date those persons. The same is persons who name themselves troublemakers, which I am not in any way anything trouble. If someone does harm to the society, that person is a criminal, not a troublemaker. And I'm not talking about self-defense, I'm talking about this disturbing also as police work, like that was a case of that Nathaniel, which people then compensated for. That is 12 minutes, so I have to stop. Oh, that is not yet over.